Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, I wanted to start with my mask on because I wanted you guys to know that we take health and safety very seriously here at the ballpark. But now for this tour, I'm going to take it off so you can see my face a little better, and I'll make sure to stay 6 feet away from the phone, from the camera that is recording me. So welcome. We're here in downtown York, Pennsylvania. You can tell because it says so on the side. The ballpark is right in front of me. But before we go in the ballpark, I'm going to walk right over here because I want to show you guys something kind of special that's out front. So we are right here in the middle of downtown York. You can't see it, but there are buildings all around us here. So there's brake tracks running across here, and out in front, we've got this big, beautiful front plaza. If we were having a ball game right now, there'd be music, there's people gathering, and there's a very cool statue I want to look at. So let's walk over to Well, I'm going to do this fast before that train comes driving by. I wanted to show you this statue because there's a couple of cool elements of it and a couple of cool kids right here. So this statue, this gentleman right here, this friend of mine here in bronze is a gentleman by the name of Brooks Robinson. You've probably never heard of Brooks Robinson. He was a very famous Major League Baseball player, and he started his time as a minor league baseball player right here in York, Pennsylvania. He's now in the Hall of Fame, and he was probably the greatest third baseman of all time. But here's what I wanted to show you. What I really want to show you is these two kids. Brooks Robinson in this statue is signing an autograph of a baseball for these two kids. There's a little girl right here from York Little League, a little boy right here. It says Dallastown, Pennsylvania Little League on his jersey. This statue is a reproduction of a very famous painting where Brooks Robinson is signing autographs for kids. And it's out here in front of our ballpark because it's a great way for us to send the message that baseball is for families, for everyone. So Brooks Robinson here is a famous adult professional baseball player, but this is really about the kids, and that really relates to a lot of things about our business. So I wanted to start out here with that. Now we're going to turn and we're going to go inside of People's Bank Park. So as you guys probably know or just find out, keep walking. As you probably know and have guessed, I'm pretty good at doing the tour walking backwards because I usually am doing this, and rather than all of you on the screen, there's like 30 or 40 of you following me walking backward. They always love it when I walk into something. That always gives people a big laugh. I'll try not to do that today. But as you probably guessed, we're not going to be playing professional baseball here this year because of the coronavirus situation. It's just not safe to have big crowds of people and to have our players traveling around the country. But today, we're going to give you a little behind-the-scenes look at what we normally do. So we're walking through the front gates right now. This is normally where if we were having a baseball game. There would be thousands of people streaming into the ballpark. So we'll walk around here and give you a look. All right, check this out. So behind me here is our beautiful ballpark. This ballpark opened in 2007. Our total capacity is about 6,000 people. You can see our field in front of you, our seating bowl here. Out in left field, there's a big, tall wall. It's about 37 feet high, and it is there because if it wasn't there, it would be too easy for players to hit home runs that direction. So if you're familiar with Fenway Park in Boston and their green monster, this is sort of similar to the green monster at Fenway Park. Out there, you can see what looks like a merry-go-round. That's because that's what that is. We've got a huge playground out in the outfield for kids. And then moving over to the right, you see a grassy green area. That's our lawn section. If there was a baseball game going on right now, there would be hundreds of kids running around, rolling down that hill, tackling each other, throwing baseballs, all kinds of fun going on, even while there was a game going on the field. And then down to the right here, you see 4 yellow tents. That's our picnic area where families and companies and organizations can come and can have a big celebration, a big picnic here at the ballpark. So I can stop here and see if anyone has any questions before I go show you some pretty cool right inside this building. Any questions right now?
A lot of people just mentioning that this is pretty cool and that the field is very big.
There you go.
I have a question for you, though. You mentioned about the wall being so big.
Yeah.
How big actually is the wall?
It's, look at it, Katie, who's standing over here off the camera. I want to say it's 37 feet, 8 inches, if I remember that correctly off the top of my head. It's actually 6 inches taller than the Green Monster at Fenway Park in Boston.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would be, for all my basketball fans, about 6 LeBron Jameses.
There you go. There you go. And in just a minute, we're actually going to walk out on that field and look a little more closely. But before we do that, I want to go show you where all the magic happens behind the scenes here during a baseball game. Let's head inside the press box.
By the way, Liam wanted to know, how many seats does the stadium have?
So what I just showed you in the seating bowl, there's 4,400 what we call fixed seats, meaning the official seats in the seating bowl. Upstairs above us, there's a balcony, and you'll be able to see that. We'll go down on the field and we'll look back up and see it. There's about 500 seats up there. If you include that lawn area I talked about in our picnic area, our ballpark holds about 6,500 feet.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. Come on in here. Headed into the press box. All right. Now again, it's quiet in here today. This is our intern, Will. He came here expecting to run the show for 70 minor league baseball games, but plans have to change. You have to adapt. Now he's working on a bunch of other stuff for us. We're here in the control booth. If you've ever been to a minor league or even a major league baseball game or a sporting event, there's lots of music, there's lots of sound, there's lots of games in between every inning. There's a big video board and lots of lights flashing. This is where all that happens. Come over here. If there's a game going on right now, there would be 4 people sitting here. Let me show you what they all do. Right here, there's a microphone. This is where our PA announcer would be sitting. So he might say, hey, now batting, Eric Menzer, right-hander. And I'd walk up to the plate and get it. So this is the PA position. All the music and the sound effects are controlled right here. Come on in a little closer. There you go. You can see this is our control board, and all those sound effects come off of. There you go. So all those sound effects you hear coming through the system, this controls the levels of the sound, and this controls the sounds themselves. It's all done on a laptop computer. The next position over here, these screens control our video board. So right out in center field, it's probably pretty hard to see from the Zoom there, is a big video board, and whatever's occurring on that video board is showing right here on this computer. So there are actually 3 screens here that are involved in running everything that happens during the game. And last but not least, what you're seeing right now is our replay position. So at every game, we have 4 cameras that are working that game. We have a camera here behind home plate. We have a camera out in center field. And then we have 2 cameras that can walk around. They're in the stands. They're taking that close-up shot when everyone's going like this on TV. We have cameras that do that. And those cameras all feed into here. And we can show replays on our video board. And that's controlled by this position right here. You can tell because it says replay. So if there was a game going on, there's somebody sitting right here, and if they caught a great piece of the action, they'd say replay, and they'd let this person here, the producer, know that they have a good replay to show if he or she wants to show. Behind us here is all of the hardware that controls all of our sound equipment. And then if you turn around and look in front of you, you can see the rack that controls all of our computer and video. And then last but not least, where Will is standing right now, wait, Will? Where Will is standing right now is where we run our YouTube channel, where we stream our games live. And so if there was a game going on right now, there would be somebody sitting here, and they would be taking the feeds from those 4 cameras and streaming that game. And so you can watch it on our YouTube channel just like you were watching on television. So all told, it takes 5 people to make it all happen here during a baseball game with all the sounds and the lights and the stream and all that. So any questions about any of this before we head down on the field?
If anybody has any questions, please feel free to chat, put them in the chat now. I do have a question that I think kids would be interested in. I noticed here it is a little cooler than where it is everywhere else in the stadium. Is that because the equipment needs to be?
That's exactly right, because the equipment needs to be kept cool. So even though we're not playing the game in the stadium, right now, for you guys, the video boards are on. We also have a big electronic sign out front on the street, and those computers are all right here. So you have to keep the room where those computers are running cool so that the computers don't overheat and get gremlins.
And also, I noticed that a lot of the sound effects, as you mentioned, come through the computer.
Right.
Is there any stadium that you know of that actually still has a real organ that plays the sounds?
I think there are a couple, and in fact, we've even done that very occasionally here. So we can put a keyboard out front that someone can play live, and we can pipe that music through our sound system, and we've done that occasionally. It's kind of fun just to change things up, so it's not all kind of modern sound effects, but that old-time ballpark. But most of the time, what people want to hear, whether it's players when they're walking up the bat or fans in the stand, they want to hear more modern music that they can get up and dance to and that sort of thing. That's mostly what we're playing.
Now, this isn't a question about the room, but Francis wanted to know, are pets allowed to come into the stadium?
That's a great question. So every Sunday, we have what we call Bark in the Park, where people can bring their dogs to the game. We've never had what we call Purr in the Park, where people can bring their cats, but we were actually going to do that this year before our season got canceled. But the main thing we have every Sunday is Bark in the Park, where people can bring their dogs.
And Liam wanted to know, how many speakers are around the stadium?
That's a great question, Liam. I don't know exactly, but it's a lot. In the range of 25 or 30 all the way around the ballpark. Every year, those have to get tuned up. So we have a company come in before the season, and they spend an entire day checking the levels and the settings on all of those speakers. One of the things you face when you're running a ballpark is an echo. And so you're trying to get the delay on the sound so that as the sound travels across the wires to the speakers that are farther away, that sound takes a little further to travel. You want to try to delay that sound that comes to the speakers that are close in, so that it plays at the same time as the sound in the outfield, and that prevents that slight mismatch in timing and the echo that you hear from here.
Awesome. And I apologize, I missed the name, but someone wanted to know, how long have you been doing Bark at the Park?
Oh, we've been doing that. Well, we used to do it just like once or twice a year, but it now seems that everybody in America owns a dog, and everybody in America wants to take their dog everywhere they go. So it was just last year that we started doing it every Sunday.
All right, so York Revolution, known for doggies and double plays. Got it.
There you go.
All right, we're ready to move on? Absolutely. All right, the field.
Katie, duck it out of the way again. What you're seeing right over here, we're having a game. This is our team store. An important part of our business is all the hats and the T-shirts and everything that we sell to people. So you see that all in there. Again, we were getting ready to open this up before we all had to go work at home, before eventually baseball season shut down. We got a short walk over here.
Elisa wants to know, how long has the stadium been open?
That's a great question. It opened on June 15th, 2007. So we were getting ready to play our 14th season of baseball.
Oh, wow. And you only have one store in the stadium? All right.
All right, so now you got to walk Chris, come here a second.
Bailey wants to know, how long has the store been open for?
I think the store's been open for
The whole
14
time
years
it's
as well.
been-
Yeah.
As long as the
Hey, guys.
stadium?
Hey, everyone, I want to introduce you to Chris Carball. Chris is our head groundskeeper here. I want to introduce you to Chris, first of all, because this beautiful baseball field that we're looking at now, but also because Chris is a great example of all the wide variety of kind of jobs that we have at a ballpark. So, Chris, we got a bunch of people watching this on Zoom here. What was your background before you came to us to got you groundskeeper?
I did several golf courses locally. Went up to Penn State, got my first science degree from Penn State, and then went on, did some work with Fenway Park, and from there went to get college, Messiah College, all the way back to square one where I'm back at baseball.
All right, so part of why I wanted Chris to tell you that is, who knew that there was something, you could get a college degree in turf science, right? You and I call it grass, but this is not grass. This is turf, and there really is a science to it. I've been here for 10 years now. We've had a couple different groundskeepers. Chris is head and shoulders above the rest of them, but it really is a science what he does to take care of this field. If this was a professional season, we'd be playing 70 home games. We're really giving them a heart attack this year because since we can't play professional baseball, we've invited a bunch of youth baseball organizations and adult amateur organizations in. And I don't know how many total games we're going to play, but I have a feeling it might be more than 70. So Chris is going to have a very busy summer, even though we're not playing professional baseball. So thanks, Chris.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Chris, quick
Quick
question.
for you.
During the season, if it was a regular season, how often would you have to cut the grass?
So typically I'm about 3 to 4 times a week. If we're homestand, it primarily before every time. But if it's away stand, I'll go about 3 days.
Wow.
Cool.
Any other questions?
We had another question. Why is the team called the York Revolution? Where did you guys get the name from?
That is a great question. So there's a two-part answer. So first of all, York was a very famous part of the Revolutionary War. Those of us who live in York claim that this was the first capital of the United States. And the reason is, when the Continental Congress was meeting in Philadelphia during the Revolutionary War, those British were getting awful close and they were making them uncomfortable. And they wanted to put some distance between Philadelphia and where the British were coming and where they were. And there's a river known as the Susquehanna. So those of you who are watching this locally here in York or Lancaster know about the Susquehanna River. Some of you from out of town may not, but it's a pretty good sized river. And so the Continental Congress got on their horses and wagons and they came and they crossed the Susquehanna River, which is about 15 miles away. And York is the first town they came to, and they commandeered a building, and the Continental Congress met right here in York for 9 months during the Revolutionary War. And this is where they adopted a document called the Articles of Confederation, which you can go study another time. And those of us who live in York claim that that was our first document where the words United States of America were used. And so that York is the first capital of the United States, and it's tied to the Revolutionary War. So that's the first reason that we're called the Revolution. But there's also another revolution that happened, and that's the Industrial Revolution. So that's the period of time in our history where the way that we make things changed dramatically. And we went from being farmers and just small shops into mass production. And York really boomed as a town with factories during the Industrial Revolution. And York is a manufacturing town. We make a ton of stuff here, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And so if you look at our logo, why don't you follow me into the dugout, and I'll point this out. So I mentioned the American Revolution. So here's our eagle, the symbol of America. But the Industrial Revolution, here's Harley-Davidson's. This is a tailpipe with a flame coming out of it. And in the R, that's a gear. And the O here is like a screw head that you would put a screwdriver into a screw. So that's meant to evoke the Industrial Revolution. So we have two revolutions, the American Revolution and the Industrial Revolution, both of which are closely tied to York, Pennsylvania, and that's where our name and our logo come from. That was a great question, whoever asked it. That might be the best question I've ever gotten, because I'm a history buff and I love this stuff and I could talk about it all day, but that might get boring.
We did have one other question. Ephraim wanted to know, how do you get the grass to look two different colors? How do you do those designs?
That is a great question. So you can actually do this at home. It really depends on the direction you're mowing. Now, it happens very subtly in your yard at home. What somebody like Chris will do, who's a professional groundskeeper, is he sets his mower blades in a way that intentionally plays up that contrast. And in fact, if you're a groundskeeper, one of the points of pride is putting all of these cool patterns on the field. And so even though, again, we're not playing professional baseball this year, Chris, every time he mows, is still like making cool patterns. And if you go in his office, he'll have graph paper and he actually draws the patterns out, and he'll go out and make markings on the field so he knows where to turn his mower to create all the different patterns he wants to make.
So it would be like if someone had a colored pencil, and if you push it down harder, it looks different than
That's correct.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, if you go out in your lawn at home and you set your mower blade really low and you mow back and forth and look, you will see that you can create those patterns in your yard, but probably best to ask your parents first.
Oh, that's awesome. I just want to see if there's any other questions. I don't think so. I think we answered all of them so far.
I just wanted to point out, we're standing now in the dugout. This is where the players hang out during the game. You probably saw the bench and so on. You can walk up here. I'll give you a cool view. Where I'm standing now, and the view that you're about to have is right up here in front where the ball players stand at eye level. So this is what it would look like if you were a York Revolution ball player standing here during a game. This is what you would see. Now, I do want you to turn around and point the camera up because I want to go back to that question about the capacity of the ballpark. In fact, it's probably better, actually, sorry about that, if we walk out here and do it. See it a little better if we get a little further back. So if we look up, you can see there's a second story on a lot of our ballpark. So that's what I mentioned, that there was a balcony level with about 500 more seats. So that's what you're looking at, is that second story. Up there, we have what we call skyboxes that companies own. So they can bring 25 people to a game, their employees or their customers, and they can come and have a good time watching the ball. And we're gonna head down this way now. We've got a little bit of walk. You can point where I'm walking straight ahead here. We have two spaces underneath part of the ballpark that I want to show.
Now, we did have a question. Do people normally work in the ballpark every day? Like, is this their office?
Correct. We have 24 full-time employees. So between the team and our food service, we have 24 of us who work full-time. And then during the baseball season, so, you know, Will, that you met back in the control room, Will is an intern. During the baseball season, we would typically add 10 or 12 interns who also work full-time. And then we would typically add on top of that, maybe another 6 or 8 interns who are here just on game days. These are college students who are here earning credit for their college courses and their degrees in sports management. Yep, that's a great question too. There's a lot of good questions. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. So where we're walking down, if you're familiar with the game of baseball, you know that there's bullpens. So the bullpen would be when the starting pitcher is getting tired and they need to bring in a relief pitcher. This is where those relief pitchers would warm up. So this right here is another plate, another base, just like the home plate on the field. Down there's another pitcher's mound. So this is where the pitchers would be warming up.
Now, how high is the mound compared to the ground?
Man, you guys have so many good questions. I have no idea. I know how far it is. The pitcher's mound is 60 feet 6 inches from home plate, but I honestly don't know how high it is. Somebody quick, get on Google and look that one up and answer that question for us. Wow. Just Google how high is the pitcher's mound in baseball. We'll find out.
And someone asked Eric.
That's the benefit of the virtual tour.
They wanted to know, with your love for baseball, did you ever play baseball professionally or high school?
I was a very, very, very bad baseball player. So I played baseball as a kid. I tried out for my high school baseball team. I made it by about that much, and I think I got into like 3 games in 4 years. Mostly what I did is sat on the bench and did the scorebook, and I learned how to juggle. Those are my 2 things I did. Then I coached a lot of youth baseball, and I actually umpired youth baseball before I came to work here.
And Autumn and Aiden wanted to know, and we could answer this a little later, they wanted to know about the mascot for the York Revolution.
Yeah,
So
we'll talk about downtown a little bit later.
And someone asked if I ever played baseball. I was amazing in 3rd grade, but after that, not so much.
All right. Well, speaking of playing baseball, so we're about to walk inside. So I pointed to those 4 yellow tents early in the tour. So we're now about to walk in underneath that level. A little virtual tour here. Cool. And actually, this is a great example. So show everyone this. So this is a good time to talk about what are we doing since we can't play professional baseball this year. I mentioned we're having a bunch of stuff on the field, kids baseball games, other adult baseball games. What you see here is a whole bunch of exercise equipment that we're storing right here. That's because we formed a partnership with our local YMCA, and they are doing workout and exercise classes here at the ballpark. And a lot of people right now feel safer when they're outdoors, and so they like coming to the outdoor exercise classes rather than being in a small space and having to wear a mask. So this has been very popular that people can come to the ballpark and take these scheduled classes by the YMCA. It's just another way that we can use our building and keep it open for the community. Walk a little bit further over here. We'll look down here. So we're down now in our batting cages. So this is where our pitchers and where our hitters come to practice and to warm up before a game. And then this is also open all winter. We've got a little heater over here. This is open all winter, and lots of youth baseball and softball players come in here and practice their hitting and their pitching all winter as well. But if we were about 2 hours before a professional baseball game, there'd be 3 or 4 guys down here with one of our coaches. Just practicing their swing, working on little things that they were trying to correct. One of the things that I point out all the time, let me ask you this question. Is there anybody in our group here that actually plays baseball? Any of you play baseball? Maybe some virtual hand raises there?
And softball too, if you play softball,
same
absolutely.
question, yeah. So if any of you play baseball or softball, you know that there's one thing you hate, and that's this. What is this? This is a tee. Like everybody couldn't wait to get out of T-ball, right? If you started off, you had to be T-ball and they put the ball here, you're like, I want to do coach pitch. I want to do kid pitch. Well, one of the things I point out to people when we do these tours in person is these are professional baseball players and they're still using this tee. And they're using it because what they can do is they can put a baseball there and they can work on their swing. And the ball is in the same spot every time. And it allows them to focus on what they're doing with their legs and their body and their arms and their hands and their eyes, rather than having to worry about where that pitch is going. So our team is professional baseball players. They get paid to play, but even those guys are working off of the tee. It's a job for them. So in the same way that I go to work and I run this company, these ball players, this is their job. They come to work and they practice a lot.
So do the baseball players still practice at the stadium right now?
No, they're not here now. Again, because our season was canceled, they're all at home, and a lot of them are doing other jobs right now. They're in a lot of cases they're finishing up college degrees. A lot of our players got drafted before they finished college, so they might need 1 or 2 or 3 classes more. So a lot of times they'll be able to go online and finish up. You know, they can only play baseball until they're 30 or 32 or 34 years old. There's a long time to work after that. So every professional athlete needs a second career. And so a lot of them are smart enough to realize that if they go finish their degree in whatever they were studying, they're going to be a lot better off. And so one of the things I know a lot of them are doing right now is, hey, if we can't play right now, let's take this time to finish up some of our college courses. So come on through here, we'll keep talking.
All right, Luke wanted to know as we're walking, who is the York Revolution's biggest rival?
That's a great question. Let me set myself up right here. Our biggest rival, by far, is the Lancaster Barnstorm. So we're here in York, and about 30 miles away to our east, across that big Susquehanna River I mentioned, is the city of Lancaster. Our two cities are rivals in everything. We're rivals in business, we're rivals in community, and we're certainly rivals in baseball. So the Lancaster Barnstormers are by far our biggest rival. I'm going to do one more little divergence into some history. The White Rose City is York. The Red Rose City is Lancaster. Where does that come from? Well, way back in British history, before there was the United States, there was the House of Tudor and the House of York and the House of Lancaster. And they were all part of this big Tudor family that were these rival kings in England. And there was the city of York and the city of Lancaster, England. And the roses were the symbols for those branches of this family. And William Shakespeare wrote a play where he talked about this rivalry between these families that had these different colored roses as their symbol. And so even today, York, Pennsylvania calls itself the White Rose City because York was associated with the White Rose and Lancaster the Red Rose City. And when we play each other, it's the War of the Roses. So it goes all the way back to before the United States was even created, and William Shakespeare, the play he wrote about the House of York and the House of Lancaster and the Tudor.
And for all of you who are in elementary or middle school, you will learn a whole lot about Shakespeare in high school.
There you go. All right, so we have now walked into the ground shop. So just a few minutes ago, we met Chris, the head groundskeeper. He was out working on the field. This is where he keeps all of his equipment, well, all the time. And this is really his kind of indoor workspace. So over here, we have things like vehicles that he drives down the field. You see a lot of the different products he uses, fertilizer, pesticide, some of the equipment he uses, little pieces of equipment that he uses to put the nice sharp edge on the grass. Bases. This is where bases live when they're not at work. So these are the bases he would put in on the field. Lots of the different tools he uses up there, stuff like shovels and rakes and all that kind of stuff. Now, if we walk over here, I want to show you something that's really unique. So you can see that there are 6 seats right here, and they're built up on a little platform. And if you bring the camera over here, you'll be able to see that there's a window with chain link fence cut into this wall. This is where the grounds crew could sit and watch the game while it's going on, because during a game, these gates would be closed. You wouldn't be able to see out on the field. This allows them to sit and watch the game. This is really important because about 8 or 10 years ago, we had a manager who had quite a temper. He got really mad at the umpire one time, and he got thrown out of the game. He was so mad that as he was walking off, he picked up first base out of the ground and took it with him. And they couldn't restart the game until somebody brought out a new first base. But the problem was, this was not here then. And so nobody who was down here knew what was going on. And we had to wait about 5 minutes until someone could run down here, open that gate, and say, guys, we need a new first base. So now they can watch. And if something like that ever happens again, they'll know right. All right? All right, follow me here. I'm going to walk. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to let you take this shot here so everyone can see where we are. If you step out here and turn around, you'll see I've just opened the door, and we're now looking up a ramp. And we're going to walk up this ramp, and we're going to go to the clubhouse where the players live. No, they don't live. Where the players hang out and get ready for the game during the baseball season. Watch the step here. Let's turn and get a shot. So we're now turning the corner. We're continuing to walk up. We're basically going back up to the level of where we started our tour at the concourse level, and we're going to go into this building. So this is Chris, our groundskeeper. This is his actual office. Come on in, get a good shot of that. I'll give you a little tour around here. This is our clubhouse where our players would be hanging out if we were playing a baseball season. These are their lockers. Each player would have his own locker. When you look at this, this tells you one of the reasons why it's such a safety issue to try to play a baseball season this year with this coronavirus. You know, they say we're all supposed to stay 6 feet apart. If you look at these lockers, they're about 3 inches apart. And so this is part of the problem that we take very seriously, the safety of our players. And you really couldn't put 30 baseball players in here right now and have them stay safe and have nobody get sick. So this is part of the challenge. But in normal times, this is where the baseball team would be hanging out, where they have their lockers. Down this way, they would have their showers. Take a quick look in there. Our manager who runs the team, he has an office here. If you walk around this way and follow me, there's a whole other section of this building. So this is the training area. So one of the aspects of running a baseball team with professional athletes is keeping the players healthy. This is even without having to deal with coronavirus. Players get a lot of injuries during the season, lots of aches and pains, and they need to work out to stay flexible and to stay strong. And our team has a full-time during the season team doctor and a full-time athletic trainer. Again, that's another medical specialty, athletic training, who is in charge of helping keep those players healthy. And the athletic trainer would be overseeing, hey, I want this guy to lift weights. I want this guy to do a certain amount of time on the bicycle. I'm going to put this player here, and I'm going to get that player a massage, or I'm going to work on his shoulder. So this area here is where our trainer would be working to do all of those medical treatments. So if it was a typical afternoon before a baseball game and I walked in here, there'd probably be 6 or 8 players here doing different aspects of physical training and treatment. You walk right over here. We have two whirlpools. You have a hot tub and a cold tub. So in some cases, you want to use hot water to help treat an injury area, a shoulder, an elbow, a knee. In some cases, you want to use cold water and ice. You want an ice bath to reduce inflammation. So we have one of each, hot and cold.
So we got a few questions.
Yeah.
So I see some people are raising their hands. You could type your question right in the chat box, and I will ask Eric right now. But someone wanted to know, this is so nice, where did the players get their snacks?
Let's come over here. So normally, again, if this was a normal season, there'd be a cooler full of cold beverages here, nice fridge with a lot of stuff in it, and there'd be a whole bunch of snacks laid out here. There'd be peanuts and sunflower seeds and cold cuts and peanut butter. Baseball players love peanut butter and jelly. So I bet some of you guys love peanut butter and jelly. Baseball players eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before the game. It's apparently a good, food that sits well in your stomach if you're going to go out and do a sport. And after the game, they would get a hot meal. So they'd come in after the game. It'd be about 9 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's when they would eat their dinner. So they might have lasagna or hamburgers or pizza or something with a hot meal laid out.
Okay, so no vending machines. No one has to pay for a vending machine. And another question, someone had asked, and I'm actually going to come back over here, because someone had mentioned about these big rubber balls that you have over here.
Yes.
What are these, and what do the players use them for?
These are all part of the exercise routines and part of a lot of their flexibility training. See if I can do this without hurting myself. So players would do this. Players would use these balls primarily for like stabilizing exercises. So they might do an exercise where they would stand with their foot on this ball and try to keep it perfectly still, right? And so I'm flexing the muscles in my left quad here by keeping my foot perfectly still on the ball. So there's all kinds of things like that they use these different sizes of exercise balls. And these are really light. So these are hollow inflated balls.
All right. And I know earlier in the tour you mentioned that this building has been around for 14 years.
Right.
Jartu wanted to know, how long did it take, though, to build the building?
2 years.
2 years.
And in the middle of that, there was a huge snowstorm that shut down construction for like 3 weeks. So they were working on the ballpark through the winter. There was like 2.5 or 3 feet of snow. They had to wait a long time for all that snow to melt before they could go back to doing construction.
Wonderful. A lot of people are impressed by the fact that it only took 2 years.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're ready to move
We're gonna go
on.
out through this door. So we're now at the opposite end of the building we came in. We'll walk out this way. We're gonna finish up our tour with one more stop.
We
And
had
someone else wanted to ask, has anyone famous come to a York Revolution game?
Absolutely. Now, it depends on what kind of famous you're looking for. But we had lots of professional athletes that you would have heard of, people like Tracy McGrady and Roger Clemens. We've had bands you might have heard of, like the Foo Fighters, because there's a recording studio right across the street. They were here for a game one time. We've had other kinds of celebrities here. Our governor right now, the governor of Pennsylvania, is from York. He comes to games. So we've had a wide variety of people here that I would call famous people.
What about actors and actresses?
I'm looking at two of my colleagues over here. I can't think, well, we had some like, well, we were supposed to have one of the actors from the show Seinfeld this year was supposed to be here before we had to cancel the season. So there's times that we pay actors or actresses to come and sign autographs or do pictures as part of our promotion and selling tickets for our games.
So that's great to know. We've had a lot of people that have come through in the 13 years it's been a team. This would have been the 14th year, but with everything going on.
Yeah. All right, so this is our last stop. We're now out in that picnic area. There's those yellow tents I was talking about. So you think about it, we're down on the field, we come up, it's come through the building, out the other side. This is this area where people can come during a baseball game and can get a great picnic. Look over here, you see a building here. This is where we cook hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken. Be all set up in these buffet lines. They'd be having a great time. Now, again, we're not playing baseball games this year, but we've still been using the space because for a lot of people, they feel safer with outdoor seating and social distancing between the tables. So we have this set up for what we call our patio parties. So every Friday and Saturday night for the last month, we've been having live music out here. People can come in, they can order food from us, have a cold beverage, and sit, relax, and listen to that music. So it's just one of the other ways we've been using our ballpark, even though we can't play baseball.
That's awesome.
And if you walk over here, you will see one more great shot. Looking down at our stadium and looking down at our field. And look, there's Chris again. He's everywhere. Maybe Chris should be the mascot for the York Revolution.
Wow. So there was a question about the mascot, and we didn't get to the mascot, who I know is named Downtown, right?
We'll walk back this way. I'll tell you a little bit about Downtown. So our mascot, his name is, in fact, Downtown, as in downtown York where we're located. Downtown is a mysterious character. We're not even sure whether Downtown's a boy or a girl. Downtown is just downtown. So if we were playing a game tonight, our big fuzzy blue character Downtown would be here, but he's off right now on vacation.
Does the York Revolution have a baseball Hall of Fame, and who would be the best player that has played for the York Revolution?
The best player who I would say that has actually played for the York Revolution, we've had 11 or 12 players. In fact, come this way and I'll show you something. We've had 11 or 12 players who, in the time after they played for us, played in the major leagues. And here's an example. We have batters along this walkway to honor those 11 or 12 players. So this one happens to be for Julio DePaula. You see, probably can't see that it says 2014 up there, and Baltimore Orioles. So in 2014, after he played for the Revolution, Julio DePaula went and played for the Baltimore Orioles. So there are 11 or 12 players who have played in the major leagues after playing here in York. We have banners to honor them along this walkway outside the stadium. And actually, we can get you one more shot here if you walk over this way. Remember I talked about the fact that York is kind of a factory town and a manufacturing town? Well, I'm going to change places with you because I want you to get a shot down this way in this train sitting right here. So I told you that right next to our ballpark, there's a set of railroad tracks. We have a very active railroad line that runs along here beside the ballpark. And a lot of times during the game, there'll be trains going back and forth, blowing their whistles. If they see people are in the stands, they'll blow their whistle. And we actually have foul balls that go off sometimes that hit the trains. So, unfortunately, the trains are pretty tough. But We have an active rail line right here about 9 feet from where we're standing, right here next to our ballpark. So actually, great. I actually think that's pretty cool that we have this like manufacturing industrial town mixed in with this great little historic downtown that we have and a beautiful modern ballpark.
Now, you mentioned there's other things going on at the ballpark since there's not games going on. If someone was going to be visiting York or lives in York, what can they expect? What's coming up?
Well, I mentioned these patio parties we're having, so every Friday and Saturday night. And this Friday night, we're actually showing a movie. You look up here, it's white now, but you see there's a Pepsi sign on the right, the Shipley Energy sign on the left, the People's Bank Park sign up top, and the Wells Fan sign below it. That black empty spot is our video board, and we're going to be showing a movie there on Friday night. People can come in, $6 a person. They can sit out. They can bring a lawn chair or a blanket, sit out on the field, and watch a movie up on that screen. It should be pretty cool. So that's just one example of a lot of the different variety of events we're doing. We've actually got a urban mountain bike race coming at the end of the summer. We're going to have mountain bike racers, rather than riding down the sides of trails through the woods, they're going to be riding down the steps between our sections as part of this stadium mountain bike race. So that's just two examples of the wide variety of things we have up.
All right, and I wanted to go through some of the questions, but Ms. Val, I know you are back at home base. Can you help us out with some of the questions that some of the students are asking?
Sure. Well, we did have a question of what movie is playing on the screen.
Field of Dreams. What else? It's a classic baseball movie, Field of Dreams, that's going to kick it off. And then we have other family movies lined up for the rest of the summer.
All righty, awesome. We had another question. How many workers are there altogether, including the players, normally without coronavirus?
That's a good question. So if we were playing a regular season, we'd have about 35 full-time staff and interns that are here every day, plus another maybe 5 or 6 for a game. That would take it to 40. There'd be 27 players and 3 coaches, so that would take it to 70. And that would be the people who are here sort of full-time during the season. And then to put on a baseball game takes between 100 and 200 part-time employees, depending on the size of the crowd and what we have going on and how many events there are, like out in this picnic area. So on any given night, we have another 100 or 200 people doing everything from running the parking lot to taking tickets to cooking hot dogs to helping people find their seats, kids that are working on the grounds crew, helping out Chris, all kinds of stuff. So we employ everything from 14-year-olds as bat boys to last year, our oldest part-time employee was 90. So everything from 14 to 90-year-olds we employ part-time during a regular baseball season.
Now, Liam asked a question as far as a lot of stadiums will be used for like commercials and movies and things like that. Have the York Revolution ever been used for anything like that?
We've had some commercials that we filmed here. So sometimes our advertisers who support us by advertising here, like the sign you see up there, those are really an important part of our business. They're not there just for show. They're a really important part of our business, those companies that pay us to advertise here. And there are some of them who have come and used our field, and they've made commercials with the baseball theme for their product, and they show that on TV, or it might be pictures in a magazine.
And Zoe is putting in their application now to become one of the bad boys or bad girls here.
All right. Yeah, it's really a shame because before coronavirus hit, before everything started shutting down, we had done our interviews for all of those game day positions. It's one of my favorite things is helping interview the people who are applying for all these different part-time jobs. And you talk to a lot of people that, yeah, they're doing it to make a little extra money, but they're also doing it because they just love being at the ballpark. And it's such a shame that so many of those people, not only as fans, but as our great part-time employees, can't come work this year.
Any other questions we missed, Val?
I don't think so. If anybody typed up a question and we missed it, you can put it in the chat now and I'll ask Eric here.
And while we're waiting, Eric, people want more information about the York Revolution and what's going on at the ballpark. How can they find
They
it?
go to our website, yorkrevolution.com, or our Facebook page. If you just search York Revolution on Facebook, you can't miss us.
Awesome. Let's see. We had a couple come through there. Bailey asked, who's the most famous person to ever come? I know you talked about some famous people coming. Maybe who was the most famous, do you think?
I would say most famous is not Darryl Strawberry, Nate's favorite player. I'd say the most famous, like literally famous from my perspective, would probably be Roger Clemens or Brooks Robinson. Those are both famous baseball players. So we started our tour with Brooks Robinson. He's in the Hall of Fame. And a pitcher by the name of Roger Clemens is also in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So from a baseball standpoint, I would say that those are the two most famous people who've been here. Now, I will tell you, I'm sure that most of you have never heard of a gentleman by the name of Jeff Koons. Jeff Koons is actually a very famous artist who's from York, and he has been here. Now, most people, if you're not into modern art, you wouldn't have heard of Jeff Koons, but if you ask people all over the world who are into modern art, and you said, have you heard of Jeff Koons? They've all heard of Jeff Koons, and he's from right here in little old York, Pennsylvania. Back in 2016, we did a bobblehead of him, and he came to that game, and that was a pretty big deal if you're into that sort of thing. Now, and yeah, the dance mom. Nate, what's the dance mom's name? I can't remember her name. The woman who has the dance mom show on TV, she was here. Yeah.
Now, someone wanted to know, because you have your own little green monster here, is there any seats up there like there is in Boston?
No, there aren't, but that's also a good question. And in my office, I actually have a plan for how we would do that someday. So one of the things in our business is you have to keep coming up with new things all the time. And so that's on my list. Like when I run out of everything else, we're going to put seats up on top of that wall before I retire.
And the YouTube channel is just, they type in York Revolution?
We have our own channel on YouTube. Just type in York Revolution on YouTube and you'll find us. And you can find lots of our different funny videos we've made over the years.
And we got an answer from Miss Sherry Tate that the dance mom is Abby Lee Miller.
That's it. Abby Lee was here. That was the big hit. There was a line down the concourse and back again for people who were fans of Abby. She's from Pittsburgh originally, which is about a 3.5-hour drive.
All right. Any other questions, Val?
Let me just see. I think there was one I missed. Have you ever done anything you've done during coronavirus when it wasn't there?
So is there anything that you're doing now that you would normally do when coronavirus isn't happening, such as showing movies or having the picnic days, even though when games aren't here?
I mean, certainly we're doing a lot of local baseball on the field. And look, one of my favorite things to do is to do these tours. So we're doing them in a little bit different way now because of coronavirus. But one of the things I do all season is we give lots of tours to kids, to school groups, to different clubs and organizations that come out, and to our Rookie Res Club, which is our kids club. And we have 4 times a year that they can come early, and they get the extra double special tour, which is what you just got. Because we have time now because I have nothing else to do because we're not playing baseball.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. One of the last questions was from Liam. Is there a bathroom there? I hope so. So we'll goofy question at the end.
We have lots of bathrooms. I didn't show them to you because most people, that's not their most exciting part of the ballpark. But yeah, we have plenty of them.
Awesome. Well, that was so much fun. So if there's no more questions, I'd just like to, on behalf of PA Virtual, I'd like to thank York Revolution, Eric, for your time, showing us everything, all around. That was an awesome tour. I think a lot of people got some really cool information and really enjoyed themselves. So thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge with us.
You're welcome. I got my mask back on to go back in the office.
So I just wanted to give all of the campers just some more reminders that this session will be available on our YouTube page within the next 48 hours.
One more thing, I wanted to jump in, and I wanted to just remind everybody, and with Eric being here, we will be back at the York Revolution to do a little bit more of an in-depth tour with some other things that are going on here in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that. So you can see that on our website, and Ms. Val is going to go over that as well. But I saw a question about that, so I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out.
Thank you, Sheik. I must have missed that. So thank you, Sheik, for letting everyone know. Yes, we are doing some of that in the future. So be sure to check out. First, you will get an email from us as a follow-up on how you can sign up for other camp sessions. And you can also get more information about PA Virtual. If you have any questions about PA Virtual, feel free to send a message in the chat. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, discuss the school and our 20-year history. Also, don't forget to check out our website and our Facebook page. We have all the events listed there. So we put those out as well, so you can see what's upcoming for PA Virtual Summer Camp. And don't also forget about the PA Virtual Summer Passport. So you can download that right on our website. And if you fill out 6 sessions about what you learned and send it in to us, you will get a PA Virtual prize, which is awesome. I'm just gonna put the link in the chat here so you guys can go right to that site. And I hope you guys had a ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. We hope to see you at another session very soon.